And also welcome to Malaysia. I understand that some of you are from Taiwan. Yeah, welcome to Malaysia. I hope that you have a good stay here. My name is Nurul Iman. I am a curator here and I'm specialized in Islamic manuscripts. So our focus this morning is to show you the tradition of Islamic manuscript, producing the manuscript as early as the 9th century up until the 19th century. Okay, how many of you familiar with manuscripts or other Islamic art objects? No? So you don't have any understanding about the Islamic dynasties and civilizations? The Malaysians. Yeah, okay. Alright, because we learn from sejarah. So I'm sure that in secondary school you learn a little bit about Islamic civilization, yeah? Alright, so you can share with your Taiwan colleagues. Alright, okay. So what I want to highlight before we start looking at the manuscript is that manuscript is considered as one of the most important Islamic objects because it records the Quran. You know the Quran, the holy book for Muslims. So because yeah, do you know that? Yeah, because the Quran has a very high status in Islam, and recording a Quran, which is the word of God, become the most important, and learning to do calligraphy, the Islamic calligraphy, and also producing a manuscript like this, consider the highly importance of art in Islam. Okay. And then the session this morning will be divided into two parts. I will be talking about the production of manuscript that will bring you guys back to the time where we have this workshop at the palaces of the Muslim dynasties, and how they produce manuscript, not only Quran but also manuscript of sciences. And my colleague Siti Marina, she will then talk about the content of these 4 manuscripts that we have on the table here, which is focused on medicine. I'm sure that is your background, yeah? Alright. So let's start with the production of Islamic manuscript throughout the ages. I would love to actually bring you closer. It will be good if you can leave your bags on the chair so that it will not disturb, and also the flyers, so it will not disturb the session. Alright? Okay, so who work at the workshop? This workshop produced manuscript. So the manuscript such as this was not only produced by one person. Okay? We have several craftsmen that are master craftsmen that work together to produce, beautiful manuscripts such as this. So can you guess who are the workers in the workshop?
Islamic people.
Yeah, perhaps it's Muslim or not Muslim, but what are their job? What they do?
Translate.
They translate.
And then to combine everything together.
Combine everything together to write. And also what you see, there are also decoration here. So there will be designer, we call it illuminator, who do the design and also illuminate the pages. And who else do you think? Any other guess? The bookbinder. Yeah? Because, and with this, and then you can then understand the process of producing a manuscript. First, the calligrapher would prepare the paper, alright, the material to write on. So it will be like a loose sheet like this, and then this is what the museum terminology called a folio. Yeah, so they have this one folio, and then they fold it into two, becomes a bifolio, and then they put it together, and then they will then create a nice surface of writing. So the calligrapher will write on a loose sheet of folio like this. They will not have like a book like us. We have exercise book already nicely bound. Yeah, they don't do like that. Okay, so the calligrapher will then start with the frame. They will frame the text area. So throughout the pages, you may see the same size of margin, and then on top and also bottom on the left and right side, and also the inner margin. So they will first do the framing. Usually the framing will not done by the master calligrapher because they are already like expert in calligraphy. They will ask their protege to work on it. So those who first want to learn about calligraphy, they will start by creating the frame of this text area. So and then, but you see there is no lines, right? But you can see the straight lines of writing. Right? It's very, very like a straight line, like what we have on our Word document nowadays. So just imagine they have this template of thread like that on a frame, and then they will press the paper on, so you can get the impression of lines, straight lines. All right? So that's how they produce a writing surface. All right? And then you know about the Islamic calligraphy, it starts from right to left. Yeah, this is one of the script style of calligraphy, but this one is not in Arabic language, it is in Persian language. It's still read from right to left. All right? And then once the writing surface are all ready, they will send to the master calligrapher for them to copy the text. It can be the Quran, it can be, for example, like this, a book on medicine. Yeah. What is this on?
This one is Zakhira Kazam Shahi. It's actually a translation of the Canon of Medicine by Ibn Sina or Avicenna. Do you know him, Ibn Sina?
Avicenna?
Avicenna? No. Okay.
Alright.
So you guys should check it out later on. It's quite a prominent figure in medicine because he influenced other medicine in other countries like China, India, and also the Europeans, Latin. Later on I will talk more on that.
Okay. It's okay. Alright. Okay. And then the master calligrapher will then have the idea what to write with what color. Okay, they are not using like a ink like us and pen like us. Usually the Muslim calligrapher will use reed pen. You know, it made of what you call it? A stalk of bush. Is it?
Yeah, a stick.
A stick. It's made of a stick. You can have a look at it if you go to the second floor of the gallery at the at the woodwork gallery in one table case. You'll be able to see the reed pen usually used by Muslim calligraphers. All right, they are not like Chinese. Chinese usually they use brush and also ink, the same ink, the pigments. All right, if you look closer to this manuscript, you can see the calligrapher use different types of pigments. We have red, we have blue, and we have the standard black. Yeah, so they know why there is actually reason why they use different colors. They want to highlight, they want to say that, okay, this is the first chapter and then followed by the next chapter. There are reasons actually for us to aid our reading. Okay, and then the calligrapher, once they complete writing, they will then send to the illuminator. Illuminator usually will do the design. So usually this design serves as the heading, meaning the title of this manuscript, and then they will add on gold as well. Okay, so if you look at this, it has the gold background before they do the writing. But if you see, the stitch will be the illuminator put the gold at the back, and then the calligrapher will then write the word on it. Yeah, it cannot be the other way around. So perhaps it was not done by the illuminator, it will be, you know, done by calligrapher himself. All right, so and then there are also different, what you call it, writing surface. We have like 2 columns like this, and then we have full text right on one surface. But if you look into this manuscript is on Marina.
This manuscript is on pharmacy. It's actually a book of all the lists of medicine taken from animal, mineral and plants. So for example, this table means that the sort of like they choose a plant, for example lily flower, so they will talk about the how to say, the element and how to use it. Is it dry or the texture, is it in syrup and things like that. And they continue for which sickness, illness, for example, is it for respiratory system or you have stomach ache, things like that. And also if it doesn't work, then they have alternative for that. So they give this list to make it easier for all the physicians, for the pharmacists to prepare the simple medicine. Simple medicine meaning that I just take a snail, for example. So that snail, I will use it on lily flower, for example. So I use the whole thing, the whole flower to make medicine. It's different than compound drugs where you mix 2 different things.
Okay, so it seems to me it's a textbook.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah? All right. So what you see from here, you see what you called it, the way of writing the content of manuscripts based on the nature. And then that's the huge font, as you see here, is the title of that table. It serves as the title of the next, I suppose, yeah?
Follow the alphabetical order.
Alphabetical order of the drugs.
Yes, from A to Z.
Yeah.
But in Arabic.
From alif to ya in Arabic. Yeah. And then they give the chapterization at the front as well. Yeah. In here.
We talk about the nature of the drugs. If you understand the humor, the 4 elements that's so important, the earth, how to say this? Fire, water and air. The 4 elements. This is not the avatar.
We have to quiz you guys.
So that elements, he started with that element. He explained that. So that element actually, in every medical, either in Latin, in Chinese, or in India, Ayurveda, for example, they have this element. Maybe 5 or 4, but mostly 5 elements.
Okay. All right. And in here, you can see something on the side. So this is what we usually, the curator will also read and understand, is it the commentary? Because, you know, this manuscript has a long life. It was produced, say for example, this one in 16th century. We are now in the 21st century, right? And then these manuscripts are not just, you know, kept in a, what you call it, cupboard, and then not being used. So it has a long lifetime. And then after the next generation, usually, you know, people understand things better, and then they want to make commentary or they make some correction to the text. They will put the comments on the side. It's just like our textbook. I mean, it's a common practice. The tradition continues from very beginning until today. And then, yeah, you can see the commentary throughout. And then this is quite special manuscript with anatomy design that I will leave to Marina afterwards for her to explain. And as I mentioned, yeah, yeah, you will need to, you know, understand that. Yeah. So as I mentioned, it's a work of different people. So the illustrator is another person. It's not the same as the writer, the calligrapher. The calligrapher might not well versed in this subject, because he serves as a scribe, meaning I just copy whatever that I see from the source. So he might not be, a physicist. He might not be, his knowledge may not related to any medicine, but his duty is mainly to copy the text from one source to another. Yeah, all right. Okay, another important element that I would like to show you is the before the book binding, is still with calligrapher, is how we date the manuscript. Usually we will go to the last page of the manuscript, and then at the end of the page we will see this like a triangle shape what you call it segment, usually contains the date when they finish writing, and also who was the calligrapher, who was the illuminator, where they produced this manuscript. So for example, this manuscript is mentioned, it was completed in 838 of the Hijri date. This is not the Gregorian calendar, this is the Muslim calendar. So if you want to know the Gregorian calendar, you can just add up 600 years. Yeah? Alright, because Muslim calendar starts in 622. So that's the mathematical formula that you need to use. So this translated into the 15th century. Yeah, around 15th century, produced during the Timurid period. The Timurid dynasty was once ruled Persia. We can say that perhaps the central was in Herat or Samarkand. So they have this, you can see if you Google up 15th century architecture or 15th century art objects, so you can see the similarities of the design as you can find from the manuscript here. Yeah, they use like cobalt blue, lapis lazuli, and they use also gold pigments as well. All right, and yeah, when we talk about binding, that will be the last step of the production of a manuscript. As I mentioned, the gatherings like this, and then they will have, like for example, one gathering like this consists of 20 leaves, yeah, and then they have like 10 gatherings for one manuscript like this, and then they will start stitching the quires, the gatherings, and then after that they will then decide whether I want to have the leather binding like this. Most of these are leather binding, yeah, or lacquer or textile, depends on the what you called it, the tradition of that period. This, you can see a beautiful medallion and also corner pieces, but it's survived a little bit of wear and tear, because most of the among all elements of manuscript, the surface will, what you called it, damage first, because that's the function of the book cover. So if you see here, you can also tell the origin of the book from its binding. So this I can tell is from the 15th century Timurid, based on the type of decoration and also the color that they use. Okay, for example like this, and also we are not only here a curatorial department, we do also have conservation department who conserve and also do the treatment on artifacts. If you see here, you can see like two types of binding. You must understand it has been done some repair on it. That will be the original, and that is the new material of the binding. Yeah, we usually save as much as possible the original parts of the manuscript. And then I would like to share with you as well the treatment that was done here in this manuscript. You see these patches that it has been treated before. And then, okay, if you see right through, because this book has been eaten by book lice, you see? So this has been treated, that side, yeah? But you see, over years, you can see the new, yes, the new holes, meaning that, so for example, if we understand the history of this manuscript, it was treated most probably during the 18th century or 19th century, or even like, 10 years ago. And then when it came to us, it started to have a new holes, meaning that that was the last time it has been treated, yeah? But the best thing to talk about conservation, are you guys going to conservation center? Yeah? After this? I think so. After this, you will be going to conservation center, and then you can ask about the treatment of manuscripts and other objects as well. Okay. So, any other question on the making of manuscripts before I pass to Marina to talk about the content? No? Okay. Well and good? Alright. So Marina, yeah? Yeah? Okay, so Marina, you can continue.
Of anatomical illustration in manuscripts. So this is a great example of the earliest illustration related to Islamic world. So I think you guys probably already learned about the anatomy of human body, the skull, things like that, right? Okay. So we start with the history. Is actually in the beginning, in Arabic medieval times, they know a little bit about anatomy, about the human body, but they don't know how to describe it except with poetry or words. So they know where's the heart, where's the spleen, where's the bowel, for example. So they related their heart with hunger and thirst. So they say the liver is, if you are a good person, your liver will be bright colors. If you're bad, then you're gonna have a very dark colors. It's like yin and yang. So and then later on, came in Galen. Do you know Galen? It's a great man. Okay, when second century, Galen he developed this anatomy ideas, but at that time you cannot, the Christian and the Muslims, they cannot use real body. You have to respect that. So in the end, Galen used ape, Barbary ape, the tailor's Barbary ape. If you have time, you can go there. We have a lot of apes at the bird park. But with tail, of course. So from there, he tried to understand the anatomy of the human body. And at that time, science in Islam is not very good yet. It's not very flourished at that time. So later on, during the 9th and the 12th century, the Caliph Al-Mansur from the Abbasid dynasty, which is in Baghdad, Iraq. Now Iraq, Baghdad, Sinbad, Aladdin. So from there they start the translation movement, and it start not with Arabic, with another language. So they start with the great Galen's work, or Hippocrates, or Aristotle. From there they translated to Syriac, a language, or Aramaic language. It's a Syrian language, very old language. And then later on, they translate that into Arabic, because Greek is not a Semitic language. Semitic language is Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic. It's totally like Finnish, you want to translate into English. So you have to have a middle word, because the grammar is totally different. They refer to the same thing, to one thing, but in English, for example, they have two meanings for one thing. Alright, so from there, in the earliest anatomy in Islamic world, they start with geometric pattern, as this, for example. This is, can you figure? I'm shaking. Yeah, okay, let me tell you. This is, I cannot. Okay, this is actually a cranial suture. Yeah, no need. I think it's okay, I'll just show you. So you can see, right, the cranial suture? The top part, yes. The top part of your skull. of your skull. Yeah, this is the cranial structure. Okay, if you can imagine your skull, for example, right now. Okay, this is my skull. So you can see there are 3 lines. This is the frontal. This is the frontal, right? So this is the how to say, colloidal structure. And then in the middle is sagittal structure, and at the back is
Lampoid.
yes, exactly. Lamboid structure. Wow. Wow. So this is actually the top of your skull. Okay, so it's in Arabic because Arabic was lingua franca after we take over all that translation. So lingua franca of the science language. Even in Persia, in Iran, at that time they speak Persian. Still, they have to use Arabic to understand. So can you imagine now your head? This is the frontal. This is the sagittal. This is the lamboid, and this is pectoral. Pectoral that separate the line. These two, right? Okay. Okay, finish class. Do you have another one? What's this? Face. Clever. Which part of your face?
Nose.
Ah, clever girl. So yes, it's true. This is the eye, and this is actually the triangle is the nose, and this down here is your teeth. This is that we call it maxilla. This area, right? So in the beginning, to teach the student, they have to use geometry. There's a lot more actually in other manuscripts in our collection. They will draw triangle, like shoulder bones. It's not, except the backbones, they can draw it quite nicely. But this is one of the earliest example. So this is the earliest example. They use geometry. Some of the manuscripts just draw without telling anything. So you don't know. So just imagine, oh, this might be this. Alright. So the next thing is the anatomy figure. Have to do it really nicely. It's very precious, right? Most of the manuscript on anatomy, either in Latin or in Greek, we start with Greek and Latin, all have this, we call it Fünf Bilder series. Fünf, 5, Bilder is photograph, series is series. It's a German word. So in here, however, because we learned it from the Galen, so we have 5 images of we have one is skeleton. You see skeleton, right? You can have a look later. If you want to take home also can. So this is the nerve system. See how colorful it is with the color representing different nerves. Yeah. So they have very nice draw with label. And they take it anatomy seriously because in order for you to understand how to treat people, you need to know anatomy. And the next one, we can show it in here. So all this, the explanation about the skeleton from the head to toe, for example. This is the nerve system in the manuscripts. And the next one, we'll see the muscle. This is the muscle. This is the muscle. With a lot of writings. Like if you know how to read it, it will be good. Right? Just red and black. Okay, there's one, you can see how geometry is very important in Islamic, not just in Islamic pattern. If you can see in the gallery later on, the geometric pattern. But in anatomy, you can see the muscle of your stomach is in triangle. You can see here. You can see triangle. Yeah. So that is the muscle of your stomach. And this one is the artery with the heart and the stomach. You can see the heart is here. Right. This is the arteries. You can find the same image in other. Can you see? This is the arteries, and we have 2 more. That's why we call fünf, in 5 in Deutsch, in German. Sorry. This is the veins. You can see the drawing, the veins of your blood system. Can you see here? This is the arteries. This is the veins. You can see in this. Yeah, here. It's very colorful. You can see your heart and the stomach part. And the position is actually quite, how to say, interesting, because there's a lot of theories coming up from this. Because, how to say, there's one theory on taking the dead body, cadaver, how to say, when you position somebody already dead on a table, on a dissecting table, he already, like that. It's not the one that you got from the hospital, very nicely tied, and you know, it's quite shrinking already. But this is what they imagined back then. And the same figure you can find in other countries. The same figure everywhere. So what happened back then? Like, we share the knowledge without the internet. We travel and we travel and learn, right? Like, you guys come show here from Taiwan, huh? Very far. Okay, so the interesting thing is, the one that probably original from this guy, oh, I totally forgot to tell his name. Sorry. This title is Tashri Iman Suri. Tashri means anatomy. Iman Suri is the name of person. Mansur ibn Ilyas, the author, the real author of this treatise. So this is like, his work is the one of the earliest work on the anatomy. You see, I'm too many things in my head. So the one thing original is actually a figure of a woman with a baby inside, with fetus. Yeah, you can see in a graphic, in the uterus and a graphic position. So you can see. So later on they have ovary and things like that. But this is the fourth builder. Fourth, 5, but another one copy becomes 6. 6 is from the Islamic world, was believed to be from Tashri ibn Iyas. So that is the anatomy illustration of the manuscript. Because the religion forbid to take from dead body and things like that. There's one during plague, I think during 13th century or 12th century, happened in Egypt. At that time, Abdul Latif al-Baghdadi, he's also a physician who actually traveled and found a pile of dead bodies. And most of it is a skull. So he studied that. He studied the skull of a human body. And not everybody would actually copy from Galen, copy from Hippocrates. They would actually learn and try to discuss whether that is right or wrong. Okay, so that is the anatomy. Any question on anatomy? No. Thank you. Thank you. Wait. Still have question.
The diagram with fetus, it means that it comes from the original woman body.
Yes.
That was pregnant and it has features.
It's so hard to say. Probably yes. There's no. It's so hard to find because it's just based on theory. It's not and how to say the real scientific proof on that. But al-Baghdadi yes, Ibn Hafiz yes. Alright, the next thing, besides illustration of anatomy, we're going to look at the Malay world. So Malay world, we have no anatomy in Malay world, except there are a few treatises, one treatise in Aceh in Indonesia. But they didn't show the illustration of that. So this one is actually a human body who has illness. We have only in black in color. So this is 19th century manuscripts from Malay. It has no author. Most Malay, when they write manuscript, they are so kind that they say humble. They have no time to write their names. So this is actually Yos disease. Do you know? Yos. It's actually a skin disease. If you have the time, you can Google welcome images, for example. You can search the Yos disease when the at that time there's a lot of illustration, mostly by European who travel to affected area. Usually this in Asia, in Africa, caused by contamination of water, is not living a very healthy condition or very clean condition. So you have this skin disease that will actually grow on your skin, like lupus. But it's not actually lupus. They say related to syphilis, but it's not exactly a syphilis. It's, I think, by bacteria of Prambiosa something. No, I don't remember. The name is Prambiosa. The rest you Google. So this is actually the two images of the development of the disease. You can see this is the how to say, the structure of the disease, how it grows up. Because it's like chicken pox, around. So it's like So it's quite dangerous. Even though the British say no problem, you will stay alive, you just got shot by vaccine, things like that. But before that, people are dying because of this disease, especially in Asia and Africa, because it's very deadly. So interestingly, it's not easy to find a very thorough study, how to say, the Malay have time to do this. That really take a lot of effort because each one has incubation time. For example, for how many days for the and how many days it will reduce, and the pathology of the sickness itself. Is it, how do you have a fever first, and how many days you are okay, and then suddenly you got another disease. So it takes a lot of time for him to do all these sketches just to illustrate how does Puru or yours look like. You can compare this with any images you see online or Puru in welcome images. I think that one is the best example for the modern one. So this is how the Malay Malay study the Puru, because Puru is quite dangerous at that time. And they are not using, because in Malay world, people usually know we use magic, potion and mantra, you know, like Harry Potter, but we are more evil than Harry Potter. So this actually use herbs first. They use a mixture of plant. This is what we call compound drugs, when you mix all these elements. Compared to the simple drugs, it's just a simple thing. So they mix and they apply, whether as paste, or drink the water, or take a bath with it. You know, there's a few examples how to treat the patient until he's alive. Or unfortunately, if he pass away, then we cannot do anything. So that is the Malay world. Alright. Any question about Malay world that you would like to know? Like maybe you know before that you have a question that has nothing to do with this? No. So this is the first time you know about Malay world medicine, right? That's good. So after this you can, it's quite, how to say, recently there's a lot of studies on this. Suddenly people come from all over the world, British Library, things like that. They will want to learn from Leiden, from the, other university. They want to learn about Malay medicine. Then they try to relate it with our history of the country. So that's maybe you can look it up if you are interested in this method.
Which century was the Malay medicine?
19. Most of Malay, because we usually oral teaching. We teach orally. We don't write to you and you learn. We are a bit stingy. You know, you have to, how to say, in Malay you have to gain the trust, a teacher and a student. You have to trust the student must be a good student, not going to do bad about this. It's just like Hippocrates Oath, for example, like you learn, right? Hippocrates Oath is translated into Arabic, and we have Islamic version and other version. So you have to be good to your teacher, your parents. Then when the teacher trusts you, they will deliver the knowledge. Same with this. That's why in the 19th century, when we have paper, we have all these ink. That's why they use ink, black ink, because it may be accessible at that time to write and to preserve it. So
which country was this from?
Mostly in our collection is from Malay Peninsula and also Patani. Yeah, we're very close to Patani, southern part of Thailand. Southern part of Thailand, Patani Malays, we call them. So we have a lot of collection of Patani Malays because they have a lot of religious teachers who actually learn medicine. So they translate. They are the scholars, because they know how to write, they know how to deliver. So this is the Malay and also anatomy for you guys. So final one, I think I already talked about these two. This is Zakhira Kozam Shahi. It's actually the same exactly as Canon of Medicine. If you have time later on, you can, I think in the library we have 5 volumes of Canon of Medicine. It's translation version of the English, the Arabic, the Persian into English. So you can see the 5 volume. It's talk about the health regime, and later on talk about the systemic diseases. For example, exact for your head, you got this disease, that's all. So you have the whole, and another volume you have the whole system from top to toe diseases, and then in the end you have pharmacopoeia, something like this. This is more like pharmacopoeia book lah. So they have things like this. So in the end it's actually a continuation of knowledge from other countries and to here. So this is actually just same translation, it's just in Persian language. This is the chapters, for example. It has no images or whatever, just a text. And there are 10 books of this, 10 volumes. But this is only the 2nd volume of the book. So If you can read Persian, it's good. I can. So
Too bad.
yeah, too bad. So I think this one is more alphabetical manuscript. This treatise. Can you see? I think I have to move. Yeah. We have to be careful with manuscripts. It's very precious and quite fragile.
Right.
Alright. So this one, he just talked about introduction of the treatise, just introduction, why the reason why he wrote the book, get easily access, because different country, different regions has not the same medical, not same same drugs. It depends on which country you come from. It's easy. So you want this drug from Iran, you are Malaysia, you cannot get it. So they make it simple. The reason why they have this copy from this language or this copy, the same copy with the same title but with different edition, they have it just to make it simple for the physician of that area to learn and to disperse the drugs to, like dysentery, for example, they have to give the drugs and all that. So it's easy for them. So this, as I mentioned before, it's just the same thing. Just this one is all the table of content of the drugs, and it has no much images. It's just a list of the drugs, and according to the alphabetical order. If they don't know the drugs, they just put this mark. They don't know. This is the number of the drug. There are like maybe 200 drugs in here. So this mark is meaning that maybe they don't know, or it has no effect on that disease, for example. So there are some respiratory, your stomach, the antidote and things like that. Yeah. I think that's all for medicine.
No?
Yeah, I think that's enough. I think you guys can go home and read more. I read more in Islamic medicine because when the Mongolian attack Baghdad, they take all the knowledge, or they destroy the knowledge, but they do take the knowledge. Some of the knowledge, the astronomy, for example, they do translation. They ask the people who can translate that to their language. So in the end, even though how to say, the hardship moment, you're going to die, but if you have knowledge, you can live. Wow. So I think that's all for medicine. If you have any question, you can email to us. If not, then good luck. Be a good doctor, be a good physician, follow the Hippocrates oath if you follow, or I am you oath if you follow. Anyway, you follow. Oh, thank you so much. Alright.
And I just a little bit from the department as well. Marina is actually working on a research on Islamic manuscript collection. We have almost 50 manuscripts, and then she is producing a catalogue and also an exhibition about the content of each manuscript. An exhibition next year in February. Yeah, so do come. You have to come and visit the exhibition. Yeah, because in the exhibition it will explain more than what she explained to you this morning.
We have one manuscript on animals, about the horses. Yeah, that one you can see in the gallery.
Alright. So this manuscript is actually just 4 examples from the collection of the medical manuscript that we have in the museum, and also other non-medical manuscript that you will see while you visit our permanent galleries. Yeah. And then after this session, I will pass over to Cik Samina, the manager of Scholars Library, and she will talk about the collection of the museum.
About Scholars Library, as you're aware that you are in Scholars Library now. Okay, so for Scholars Library, actually we cater for the researcher, we cater for postgraduate students, undergraduate students, and also the student itself, because we want to expose the Islamic arts, all Islamic world and Islamic civilization, because we have quite numbers of resources that is good for all of you to study in Islamic art, Islamic, and all I can say about the history. Okay, so actually Scholars Library divided, the collections is divided into 3 main sections. Okay, rare collections. Okay, this is rare collection actually, rare and special collection. Okay, consists of limited editions, rare books, out of print books. Okay, numbers of Al-Quran, different kind of Al-Quran. Okay, because we have quite numbers also different translation of Al-Quran, which is one of the main resources for Islamic work. Okay, so at your back is reference collections. Okay, and far behind is open collections. So I would like all of you to have your time in Scholars Library to view all these collections. And for special collection, I need all of you to divide it into 2 groups because we cannot fit all of you inside the rooms. So I will show you some of the collections. Okay, can I have 2 groups, all of you? So one group will be inside, one group you can have your time to view all.